Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Stuchko, and I'm excited to be bringing you our final installment of the Career Month March 2022 podcast series here. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's episodes with our members of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms and our earlier episode this month with Mrs. Grimm detailing all the different stuff that was going on in March and how to get yourself involved in your career readiness activities here at the school. And this week we are focusing with one last interview with a former Emmaus graduate, class of 2018. Her name is Jackie Bassett, who is a business owner of the FD Market in the downtown Emmaus. Her store specializes in sustainable goods, disposable goods like dish soap and laundry detergent and stuff like that. It's a really cool store offering lots of eco-friendly products. And if you're a member of the Jasper program, you have had the chance to interact with Miss Bassett through some of the programs that she's run here. She tells a really interesting story about her path to being a business owner. And it's definitely a little bit of a non-traditional path. So hopefully you enjoy this episode. And it kind of gives a little bit different focus of a career where it's not just somebody that checked off all the boxes and went to school and got a degree and those kinds of things. So her story is really a different kind of story, and it's really inspiring, and it's local. So it's great to see that. So hopefully you enjoyed all of the Career Month activities for March. There's a few more days to sign up for some more of those, so you can definitely still do that by going to Naviance and checking that out. So the episode you're seeing today is a preview. There's a much longer interview that goes with this, so hopefully you can check that out. And we'll also be including in that episode some of your responses to our question that was on the message board about your jobs and thinking about like what do you need to be more successful with in order to get that first job. So it was kind of a cool way to end Career Month here with seeing what students feel they need in order to get that first job or keep that job and what it means to them. So thanks a lot for all the Career Month tuning in and for getting all the different things filled up with all the speakers. Big thanks to Mrs. Grimm for inviting me on at the beginning of the month, and I love coming back and talking about careers, so hopefully we'll continue this in the future as well too. So here is the episode, or parts of the episode, with Jackie Bassett, and hopefully you tune in to ninthgradeexperience.com or on the YouTube channel here in order to see the rest of the full-length episode. So thanks a lot for joining us, and enjoy the rest of Career Month here in March.
I remember we went on a hike. We were hiking up to Exit Glacier, and as you hike, you pass signs with dates on them. So basically, you're physically hiking the distance that the glacier has receded over time, which for me was a really powerful and tangible experience of climate change. And so after that trip, I was like, we really need to get it together and like start making some changes to make sure that if I have children someday, like there will maybe be glaciers around still. So that kind of instilled like the urgency in me to live more sustainably. And then when I returned from that trip, I started trying to make more sustainable changes in my lifestyle, and there were no options locally. So there was not one store that you could just walk into and find everything you needed, but have it be plastic free, better for the environment, ethically sourced. There's a lot of greenwashing out there, and you can go to Target and half the bottles have a little green leaf on them, but once you look at the ingredients or the company that makes them, they're not always the most responsibly or sustainably made. So I wanted to create a space that kind of did all of the work on our end for the consumer, that when people walk into our store, they can trust that the products that they're buying are sustainable and ethical. The pandemic was a curveball that I was not expecting. So we opened at the very end of November in 2019. So we were open for about 3 months before everything kind of shut down. And that was a little nerve-wracking. That was the first time that I think I was really like, maybe this wasn't a great idea. But I decided to pivot. And I think that's, again, something that helps to define how successful you can be. A lot of people told me that I needed to have something that was more stable or safer. And what does that even mean anyway? There are a lot of positions that you have to have a degree for that have kind of been hurt more than our business was during the pandemic. So we switched. When we first opened, we sold a lot of like fun things like sustainable candles and that sort of stuff. And when things are tight, people aren't buying things like that. So I decided to switch entirely to consumables and essentials. So hand soap, dish soap, laundry detergent, toilet paper, things that people are always going to need. It's a lot, and I think it's really easy. And I have this issue sometimes too with people that want to come work here, and then it's a lot different than just going and working at Target. And especially in small businesses, I do probably 4 or 5 different full-time jobs that if I were to just go do marketing for Nordstrom, like I'd just be doing marketing, but here I have to do all of the accounting and bookkeeping and the marketing and the research and development and the merchandising, and I have to check people out. So it's a lot of different roles kind of tied into one. And I think the biggest lesson that I ever learned as an entrepreneur is that nobody's ever going to care as much about your business as you do. And so it is a lot of really long days and really late nights, and you're kind of, I mean, I have a really great team of employees now. In the beginning, I couldn't afford that. So it's something that like you really have to be dedicated and you really have to care about it in order for it to succeed, because you're in a sense the only person that can make anything happen. I would advise them to find a mentor, find somebody that's doing what you want to do, and ask them about it. I have kids come in here all the time. They send me messages. They're like, I want to do this, or I want to start a store. I want to do something similar. And I'm always happy to sit down with people, tell them not only the good parts, but the hard parts, and this is what I wish I would have done differently. And I think that that's the most valuable experience that you can have, whether it is a career that you have to get to through college or if it's something that you can do right out of high school. I think it's really important to talk to people that have done what you want to do, and also don't be afraid to try things. Like I said, my freshman year, I thought I wanted to do something in regards to the arts, and then once I took a couple classes, I was like, this is not for me. But you also might like branch out and take a class that you're like, I don't think I'm going to like this, and end up falling in love with it. And that's what you end up wanting to do. So don't be afraid to try things out and talk to people, shadow people, try to get real world experience.